If you're watching this video, your autoplay has either run wild or you have an older transfer sheet and you're wondering if they still work. The good news is you can still use these oldhammer sheets to good effect. You just have to handle them a little bit differently. In this video, I'm going to show you how to apply these older sheets without ripping or tearing them. So for this example, I have a men-at-arms transfer sheet I'm going to use to show you. I have the shield I'm putting things on. This sheet is actually in really good shape for the age it's in. You see I've already used it a few times. But these techniques will still help you if you have a sheet that's sun damaged or that's old and deteriorating. It'll help you get the best out of them. Other things you need, I have a hobby knife to cut out my decals. A pair of tweezers are going to help a little bit. And then I use an old brush. We are going to use brush in a way that ruins them, but get an old brush that's still soft. You don't want a hard brush. It'll rip your decals. These are fragile because they're older. So old brush you don't care about, but still needs to be soft to the tip. And then we need a little bit of micro sole and micro set. I use these for all my decals. This is especially important in what we're doing now, the micro sole, because these are old decals, they're fragile, they tear easy, they don't come off the paper as easy when they're older. So you really need, at the very minimum, micro sole if you're going to use these oldhammer sheets. I wouldn't recommend doing it with just water. Micro set will help things look better. And overall, you get a better feel. I use micro sole and micro set for everything, but minimum, have this micro sole. First things first, just cut out your transfer, your decal. I'm doing these for men-at-arms. I'm going to have a video about that coming up soon if you're interested, but I'm just going to get these last two cut out for these last two soldiers. Not much to say here. You got plenty of extra room here. Just make sure you don't cut into your decal, cut them out with your knife, put the other stuff away. Preferably put it in a way that doesn't have sun damage. You don't have to refer to this video later. And we'll move on to the next step. So now that I got those cut out, I'm just going to take a cup of water, clean water. I use purified water, and I'm going to dip my decal in it. With a newer sheet, you'd probably leave it underwater for, a count of 20 seconds. Any longer than that, you come in danger of it falling off. But with these oldhammer sheets, they stick to the paper a lot more. I leave them submerged for about a minute. Sometimes longer for sheets that spend a lot of time in the sun. Okay, so once our sheet is fully submerged for a minute, we're going to take it out and we'll place it on my cutting board here. I am going to take a couple of drops of this micro sole, and I'm going to dab it onto the shield I'm going to put it on. And then I'm going to dab it on the decal as well. So lightly brush the edges around the decal and see if you can get it to move. This one's going to come off pretty easy. See how I got it moving here? And it's ready to go on. A lot of sheets will take a lot more than that, but just lightly brush around the edges till you can see it moving. Then once it's moving, we're going to pick this up with our tweezers. I'm going to take on the shield. The sole's a little thick on the shield, so I'm going to wipe a little bit of it off. And now I'm going to gently just slide the decal onto the shield. Now, in my experience, these older decal sheets are fragile and the brushes rip holes in them pretty easy. So rather than pushing around with a paintbrush like you see a lot of people do, I'm going to take the points of my tweezers. I'm going to grab the decal in places where there's no paint, and I'm going to push it and slide it around that way. Make sure it's on a wet surface, this micro sole I use, so it's not on dry. If it's on dry, you're definitely going to rip and tear it. But then get it moved around until you have it about where you want it. And once you're happy with that, I'm just going to take a paper towel. I'm going to dab up some of the excess micro sole that's on the model. Just very careful around the edges. Just push the paper towel onto the sheet very lightly and just let it suck up some of that liquid. And for our last step, I'm just going to take some of this micro set. Going to get it open real fast and dip some on my brush. Sorry about that for being off camera. And I'm just gonna lightly dab around it, around the edges. So what microset does is it kind of melts the decal into your model so it has more of a painted on look, and the edges will be a lot harder to see. Now that might move it a little bit, so feel free to move your decal around. You still have time. Get to where you want it again. And that's pretty much it. Now you just let the model dry for a few hours. If you see your decal start to wrinkle up a little bit or you have bubbles in it, just apply some more of that micro set and let it do its thing. It'll melt your decal into it, it'll smooth it out, and you're good to go. If you have any of your own tricks for these old decal sheets, I'd love to hear them in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for watching.